Hi everyone, Christina here. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be creating a card using that stamp set that you just saw on screen called Special Delivery from Studio L2E. I'm going to be doing a little bit of watercolor smooshing or smushing. I think Laura Basson kind of coined that term, I think. I'm not entirely sure. I think she did. But she does this technique a lot, and she did it in class yesterday over online card classes in the masquerade class. And I realized I had never ever tried it before, and it looked so fun. And I love the look of it and how it turned out, so I wanted to share it with you guys. So the first thing I did was I white heat embossed the open envelope stamp image from that stamp set just on some 5x7 Strathmore watercolor paper. Then I took 4 different colors of Distress ink, and I'm going to press these ink pads down onto a laminated piece of white cardstock. The reason I'm using a laminated piece of white cardstock is because I want to make sure I see the color. And I'm spritzing it with my mister bottle and picking it up with a clear acetate sheet and then smooshing or smishing it down onto my watercolor paper here. And that's why it's called this smushing technique, because you're kind of using a clear piece of acetate or a clear block or just something where you can see through to pick up that ink and then transfer it over to your project. It's a way to sort of control where the color is going, and yet you get that really organic edge to all of your colors. So it's a really fun way to do kind of this distress ink watercoloring, or even with other ink pads, but without having the unpredictability of not even knowing where the color is going to go. And it also helps because it really prevents those colors from mixing too much and becoming a muddy mess. So I really found myself loving this technique, and I think I'm going to use it a lot. So the colors I'm using today, that green color is Evergreen Bough, and then the purple is Seedless Preserves, and this is Abandoned Coral. It's one of the new colors this year. And then that yellow color I'm going to be using is Scattered Straw. And the thing that I found interesting about this is that you really do have quite a bit of control. You just pick up a little bit on that acetate sheet and smush it down, and then you can kind of drag it and add more and more color to your project. So I really like that you kind of got those kind of drier edges all around the outside, and yet you could really drag that acetate sheet and fill in a lot of color. The other thing I wanted to mention about this is I was really careful that colors that would be overlapping, that they wouldn't become all brown and gross. So you'll notice that like that bluish green is overlapping the purple, and that makes a little bit of a darker purple. And then you've got that coral overlapping the purple, making kind of like a magenta. And then for this yellow, it can overlap. I'm mostly letting it overlap the red and the green. I don't want it to overlap that purple too much, because if you have ever tried to mix purple and yellow together, you realize that it just goes a gray, icky mess. That's because they're complementary colors across the color wheel. And so like they look good together, but not mixed together, if that makes sense. So I'm just adding a bunch of Scattered Straw, and then I'm heat setting this. And because I just can't help myself and I can't resist it, I'm going to add some water droplets. And these water droplets are going to kind of pull away some of that ink color and give some organic water droplet looks. I've done this technique over and over again, and I just love the look of it. And the thing that you have to remember when you add these water droplets is you need to let them sit. They need to sit and absorb into that paper and soak up some of that ink and reactivate it, so that when you bring in your paper towel to, sop up that water, it's going to pull up the ink as well. I also sometimes like to tip my board, and that gets the water moving and wicking away at that color as well. So I really love how it leaves behind these really organic looking raindrop sort of looks. It goes really well with this kind of paint splotch idea that I've got going here. I'm going to do some more heat embossing, so I'm prepping that area with a powder tool. And then I'm going to take the thank you stamp from that stamp set and stamp it in Versamark ink. I'm using some white Hero Arts embossing powder. It's the same embossing powder I used for the envelope. And then I'm going to heat set this so it's all ready to go, and do a little more stamping. Using some of the heart stamps from that stamp set, it just makes it look like those hearts are coming out of the envelope. Now I wanted this envelope to look even more incorporated into this card, so I decided to take a border stamp from the absolutely delightful stamp set from Simon Says Stamp, and I masked off one side of the envelope so that it could look like this border is going behind the envelope image. And then I stamped that border just off to the side. And I'm going to go ahead and apply some white embossing powder to it and also heat set it just so that I have a guide for where to stamp on the other side of the envelope. So I'm going to put that Post-it back on the other side and then inked up my stamp with Versamark ink and stamped the other side as well. Just sprinkle on some more embossing powder and then hit that with my heat tool so that it melts all the embossing powder. So this is a 5x7 piece of watercolor paper, and I didn't want to lose too much by trimming it down to be a smaller card. So I did trim it down just a tiny bit. I just took a 1/4 inch off each dimension, and now I'm creating a 5x7 card base. And I want it to be a top folding card. So you guys have seen me do this recently with some other 5x7 cards. I'm creating my own card base. So I cut out one 5x7 and one 5x7.5, and then scored it just a 1/2 inch in. And then put some adhesive on that flap, put my two pieces together, and then fold over the flap. So that flap will be on the back of the card. Sometimes I have to trim the card as well so that it's all matches up. Put some Tombow Extreme adhesive on the back of my watercolor paper. It's a great adhesive for paper that might be warped a little bit because it's super strong. And I press that down onto my card base. So the last thing I decided to do is add some sequins. So I'm using some Ranger Multi-Medium Matte, and I found it in this little jar. And I really, really love it because most of the time when I'm using this Multi-Medium Matte, it's for when I'm applying sequins. And I always squirt out a bunch of it, and then, you know, it's too much and I wasted quite a bit. So I love this jar because I can just brush on a little bit of that adhesive and then pick up my sequins with my quick stick tool and adhere everything down. So that's the card for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Super simple and easy. Such a fun technique with that ink smooshing. And thank you, Laura Basson. I was so inspired by your card over at class, and I will be sure to put this in the gallery. Thanks for watching. Thanks so much for watching today's video. On screen are 3 more card videos where I used Distress inks and created some fun backgrounds. So I hope you'll check those out. You can visit my blog at kwarnerdesign.com, and you can subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking that subscribe button in the top corner. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next video.